Hello and welcome to your Daily Five. I am Jane Gallina, also known as Airplane Jane. You guys can reach out to me anytime on social media or shoot me an email. I'm out there on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, my website, cjanetrade.com, and also on Telegram. And of course, my email is jane@cjanetrade.com should you have any questions. So today I sort of wanted to do a bit of a recap of some of the major stocks that can really affect two of the primary index ETFs. So on the left here, let me just turn on the laser. So on the left here, we have the S&P 500 SPY ETF. This was pulled from Yahoo. And the one on the right is going to be the QQQ NASDAQ 100 ETF. So the top stocks that I really wanted to look at today are going to be Apple. So we can see Apple is 5.9% of the SPY ETF and 11% of the QQQ ETF. We also have Amazon at 4.05 on the SPY and 8.35 on QQQ. Then we have Facebook coming in at 2.29 on the SPY and 4.01% of QQQ. And last is Google at 2.02% for SPY and 3.35%. So it's amazing to see that these four stocks can really have a big impact. On the SPY, it's 14% for just four of the holdings. And on the Qs, 26.88%. So more than a quarter is affected by these four stocks. Now, normally, these are all pulling the indexes up. Today, we're going to look at how they're actually affecting them, I should say, and pulling them down. So first up, we do have the Apple daily chart here. Now, the sort of turquoise line is going to be my 4 EMA. The yellow mustard line is going to be my 8 EMA, and then that green line is going to be my 50 simple moving average. I do have the Equivolume candlesticks from StockCharts right here. And I like to use these because you get the bigger picture of what is happening with the volume and the direction. I also do have the price at the volume on the right-hand side behind the price action. So you're able to see the gray is the selling and the green on that histogram right over here is going to be buying. So the green right here is buying, gray would be selling. So right now on Apple, we have corrected down a fair amount and we are below that 50 simple moving average. Does look like if we close below that we might have a continuation to the downside. And when we look at the bigger picture of the weekly, the blue line right here is going to be my 30 exponential moving average. If we use that as a guide for when we do have down weeks, right? We do tend to have 2 down weeks and then a rebound. So if we do not rebound at the end of this week, which will be quad witching, so be prepared. It could be wild and crazy going into the week. If we do not rebound and come back up above our 8 EMA, roughly at 147.70, 147.59, in fact, that we will likely see a correction move down to 137.50 area. So I would be watching this big watch on Apple this week today to see if we're going to continue this move down and affect the indexes, right? Next up after that, we had Amazon. Next with the weighting, we are below most of those moving averages. We are below the 50 simple moving average. It does look like we have a bit of a gap right here to fill on down roughly 33.80. And if we break down below that, we might be coming down here, down roughly to 33.40 area where we've got this big potential support. Now, when we look at the weekly for Amazon, we're going to see that we tend to pull back down to that 50 simple moving average right here. So we might have a bigger correction down to the downside of roughly 125 points over the next couple of weeks. We do have a nice gravestone doji right here, very big selling wick, and a move to the downside. Now, how often does that happen? Well, here we had one in the downward trend already, but on average, we tend to have these waves up and then we pull back down to that 50 simple moving average. So I'm watching Amazon to see if this can pull back down. And we had a bit of buying power on this candlestick 2 weeks ago, but selling pressure at the top. So really looking to see, are we going to hit this support right here, 3380 area, like we saw on the daily, or is that going to fail and we'll be pulling back down below 3,300? Now we have our Facebook daily, which you can see we had a big move today. We are down 2.2% now as we look at this one. And we have found a bit of support on this shelf right here, a little bit of buying pressure, but it does look like more selling pressure. And on our daily, we can see that we come down to that 50 simple. So we might have another 25 point move to the downside right here before we get a bounce. It's a bit of an extreme day though. We are extended. So I would anticipate a move down, bounce up, and then continuation move to the downside. A bit of Elliott wave type theory or channel theory, if you want to think of it that way. And on the weekly, we can see that it does come to the 30 exponential moving average fairly often right here. So we could use that on the weekly chart if we break down below our 8 EMA at 366.89. If we close below that, we could see a bigger move down to 334.90 area or 335 coming into next week. We are showing a bit overbought, right? Now on the upside, I don't like to necessarily use this as the overbought, but it does look like we are setting up to potentially correct on Facebook a bit and pull back down. Now, when we talk about GAN, we talk about 12-year cycles. We can see that we could be setting up for that 30 to 50% correction over the next couple of months. There's talk of the Fed failing with Janet Yellen. All of these things could be setting up the puzzle pieces for that big 12-year correction. Next up is Google. And this is our daily chart where we do have the blue line as my 21 EMA. Again, you can see test 1, test 2, test 3. This will be test 4 today. So are we going to use it as support or break down, potentially come down to this 50 simple, which is also a nice shelf of support for the volume on the histogram of what has been traded there. When we look at our weekly chart, right, we can see that it tends to come down to that 8 EMA very, very rarely. I had to go back and I didn't even see a 21 or a 30 or 40 EMA that it would come to. It usually tends to bounce off of this 8 EMA. So my next target to the downside, if we do have this continuation move, and look at that nice doji reversal pattern right there too, that we could see that we come down to 27.75 on Google. All right, so it was 28.66% of the Qs that these 4 stocks do affect, right? That's their power on the Qs. So right now they have definitely been pulling it to the downside. We are in a bit of a downward trend. We had selling pressure right up here at 380, right? So potentially looking for this 370.50. That is going to be the 40 EMA on this chart. So we tested it here back in August, 3rd week of August. So are we coming back down to 30.70.50 for the Qs? That is a potential move to the downside. And on the bigger picture of the weekly, could we move down further? If we break that 30.70, we will be below the 8 EMA on the weekly, and that would give me in the next target, also next shelf of support of volume here, roughly at 358. 357.25. And again, the stochastics look like we might be setting up for that perfect little bit of a correction. Corrections are great. They do offer discounts on stocks, potential to, take some profits and re-enter at a lower price. So that is what I am looking at right in the market. I do follow the dark pool prints and we are below major dark pool levels. If you do want to come over and learn more about them, come over to the training pit at thedarkpools.com. And that is your Daily 5 with Jane Gallina. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, as I like to end it, carpe profit, seize those profits one trade at a time.
Hey guys, Dave Keller here with StockCharts.com. Thanks so much for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, and we hope you did, hit the like button right below. Also, we have so much new content every day. Consider subscribing to the channel. Just hit the subscribe button in the video or right below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Have a fantastic day.